guys here for the tour?
Yeah.
We have a tour at 12 o'clock.
2 o'clock?
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
2 o'clock. Oke.
Yeah. Would that work for you?
Jam 2.
Ya udah.
Oke lah.
Oke.
Thank you.
I'm back. 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Well, you guys can come in now if you want.
Mau lihat sekarang.
Ya, let's see.
Please a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, come on. We can have you sign the guest book. Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Okay.
And then if I could have you guys put on some booties
Bayar
over
ya?
here, kind of like we
Oh, oke.
we use them to keep the floors good.
Oke, ini dulu. Disarungin, Vi, disarungin.
Sabar.
Lu pakai tapi disarungin.
Lu pakai lah. Oh ya? Dia masih mau.
Dia tahu kita dari orang luar.
Enggak, dia lihat muka kita kayak begitu kecewa gitu. Oke. Jadi? You can.
You gotta put it in first.
Oh. Okay.
Would you like email or text receipt? Or receipt?
No receipt. Thank you. Enjoy the tour.
All right,
Thank
I
you.
can show you guys. We have like a little area downstairs. I can show you guys.
Oke.
Thank you.
We have some displays down here and some interactive things. You guys can go ahead and look around. We have all this stuff, a small gift shop, and then there's some interesting stuff in here. If you guys want to go ahead and start with this, we'll come back down and get you guys around 12 and start the tour.
Yeah.
Oke,
Thank you.
oke. Jadi guys, ini museum
No,
tempat
it's all hands
bersejarah.
on, so feel free to go ahead and touch stuff and try stuff.
Okay.
and see if
Okay.
Thank you. Ini rumahnya dulu kayak gini.
Rumah dulunya. Ya guys, jadi ini rumah museum namanya Hearthstone Historic House Museum. Jadi ini adalah museum bersejarah yang terletak di 625 Wisconsin, Prospect Avenue, Appleton.
Mau udah.
Udah nggak usah. Jadi bangunan ini infonya dibangun pada tahun 1982 oleh Henry James Rogers, seorang eksekutif industri kertas dan pengusaha terkemuka. Rumah ini dirancang oleh arsitek William Waters. Kemudian ini kenapa? Terus kita kemana nih? Ini gift shopnya guys. Wah keren. Jadi ini seperti kayak apa?
When the rain falls in eastern
Hujan.
Wisconsin, it doesn't just feed the land and keep Lake Michigan filled. Much of eastern Wisconsin is in the Fox River watershed, and the rainwater will find its way into the Fox and other rivers that
Dekat
flow into
yang
Lake
itu yang kemarin
Winnebago
kita pergi
and the
apa
Fox
namanya?
River system.
Danau
From
itu.
there, the Great Fox
Let's
River,
talk.
which starts in south central Wisconsin, carries the water north to Green Bay. a total distance of about 150 miles. The final 30 miles from Lake Winnebago to Green Bay. Far more rivers flow from north to
Ya,
south.
terus keunikan utama dari Hearthstone Museum ini, dia terletaknya sebagai status sebagai rumah pertama dunia yang diterangi oleh listrik yang dihasilkan oleh pembangkit listrik tenaga air, guys. Seperti itu. Jadi pada tahun 1882 itu, tanggal 30 September, rumah ini pertama kali diterangi oleh listrik di kota Appleton. Keren ya, guys. Nah, di sini museumnya dia buka jam 10 pagi sampai jam 12 siang, guys. Setelah itu dia tutup, kemudian buka lagi jam 1.30 siang sampai jam 3 sore. Dan bukanya cuma di hari Kamis, Jumat, Sabtu doang. Cuma 3 hari, guys. Ada suara kereta api. Vi, sini dong. Di dalam. Jadi sedikit cerita lagi, guys. Setelah keluarga Rogers pindah ke Chicago pada tahun 1893, rumah ini mengalami beberapa pergantian pemilik dan fungsi, termasuk menjadi restoran bernama Hearthstone Tea Room pada tahun 1931.
Gosokannya kecil banget.
Yang jadul ya. Ini setrikanya pada zaman dahulu sama mesin jahit.
Mesin cuci baju.
Jadi saat ini Hearthstone Historic House Museum menawarkan beberapa tour pemandunya sebenarnya, guys. Dan rumah ini menampilkan perlengkapan pencahayaan asli dari Thomas Edison. Di dalam ada apa?
Kamar mandi.
Oh.
Ini gede banget sih sekarang kayak punya gede.
Foto-fotonya nih guys.
The Henry and Cremona Rogers family. 82 sampai 93, 10 tahun, 11 tahun.
Iya. Ini penampakan rumahnya.
Really nice.
Ya. Naiknya tadi dari samping. Bukan dari sini. Mm-mm. Lampunya keren guys. Sekarang kita ke atas guys. Ini kan di basementnya. Sekarang kita naik lagi ke atas. Kita lihat lagi ada apa di atas ya.
Can you guys hold up? Should we? How do we?
No.
They just went over.
Oh no, did they pay their
Yeah, yeah.
We do have guided tours, so if you could wait until noon, we can't allow people to
It's
go
okay.
through the house.
No
It's
problem.
okay.
No
But
problem.
We don't normally do, no, I'm sorry, we don't allow
Udah mau tutup.
just open access throughout the house.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Sorry about that.
No,
Sorry about
no.
that.
No, no problem. So you want to wait in the basement and explore a bit yet? You
No.
may do so.
We have appointment. Sekarang jam berapa sih?
When is your
11:30.
appointment?
Oh.
Then if you would like, if you have to be somewhere, I don't think they'd mind if I gave them a really quick tour now. I just have to be done before noon. So you're just wanting to see it quickly?
Yeah.
Let's go out front.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah, because no one else comes.
yeah, but if you, we're gonna go through it quickly and then I have the noon tour, but if you paid admission, we'd like you to see the house. We'll start in the library here and we'll just do a circle. But this is the library. Do you know much about the house? Have you done it?
No.
Okay. Well, it was built in 1882 by Henry Rogers. He was a local industrialist, very, very big in the paper industry. He made a lot of money doing that. So the house is the classic Queen Anne style,
Yeah.
inside and out.
Yeah.
But this was the library. And one of the really amazing features we like to point out, originally there was another doorway into the servants' hall.
Okay.
But do you see that light switch in the corner? These are original to the house. They're original Edison switches. There are 13 of those left in the entire world, and we have 11 of them in this house.
Okay.
But you had to push it in and turn it. They're fashioned after water and gas bells because that's what people understood to use. But this was heavily influenced by Thomas Edison. In fact, this house was the first house in the world to be lit using hydroelectricity from a central Edison system. And by that we mean that Mr. Rogers had bought all of the electrical components enough to electrify the entire city of Appleton. At the time, the population was about 8,000 people, so he bought all the switches and the wiring and so on to light up the whole city. But what he did is he bought 2 large generators, or what they call dynamos. He placed one of the dynamos down in his Appleton paper and pulp mill, which sat down in the river, and that held one of the generators, and they produced enough hydroelectricity from the Fox River in order to light up his mill, the adjacent Kimberly-Clark mill, and this house, all on that same night. And that was September 30th, 1882. These lights, they called them electroliers. These were designed by Sigmund Bergman, who was an associate of Thomas Edison's. we have the largest collection of Bergmans in this house in North America.
Okay.
Lots of things we can brag about. And these each gave off 8 watts. And these were very, very expensive, obviously. But they, again, you can really tell by the light fixture in the grand hall. But the light bulbs are actually exposed. And that allowed the fixtures to give off more light. And they also were just showing off the fact that they had electricity. But I'll also point out this house has many beautiful fireplaces.
Yeah.
9 in total, which is where it got its name from, Hearthstone.
Oh, okay.
But these tiles were all specially made in England.
Oh.
Okay.
And these depict the works of Sir Walter Scott's Waverley series. But all specially made for the house. And then we'll go into the grand hall. We'll keep moving. Like I said, we have another tour at noon. But this is white oak. The library is cherry. This is white oak. This is all the work of a young man who was named William Van Stratum.
Okay.
He began working on this house when he was 19 years old, and it took almost 3 years.
Okay.
This is all hand carved.
Oh,
So he would
okay.
sketch out his ideas in a book and then using hand tools do all of this intricate carving. And they used the common motif of nature. So you'll see a lot of leaves and birds and flowers. These are 12-foot tall ceilings, and this grand hall was designed to look like an English manor because Henry Rogers was of English descent.
Oh, English
So he
design.
wanted people to walk in and have this illusion of grandeur. The doors at the other end, the stained glass, those were specially made by the Chicago Glass Company.
Okay.
And it looks like Tiffany glass, but it's actually, we call it made in the Lafarge method, after John Lafarge, who was a glass artist, and his methods were thought to be a little bit more modern and better than Tiffany's at that time. And again, we have another one of these electroliers, very, very expensive. When this house was built, this fixture cost $44. And the really interesting thing was back then, they didn't have a way to meter electrical usage, so they charged a flat rate of $1.29 per lamp or bulb per month. This is a 50 lamp house, so 50 light bulbs.
Wow.
So if you do the math, that's $64.50 a month.
Yeah.
So our woodworker, as highly skilled as he was paid a lot of money. Back then, he was paid $1 a day, which was a lot. That made him upper middle class. So think of him having to work basically 2 months to pay the electrical bill for this house. So that just gives you an idea, to put it in perspective, of how expensive it was. But this house was also designed with both public and private or servant side.
Okay.
And the public side is more ornate, much fancier. They didn't spend the money on the servant side. You're going to see it's much plainer. And the fancy staircase is designed to give the illusion that all of this extends all the way through the house.
Yeah.
And I'll point out too, this fireplace behind me, this has tiles showing the works of William Shakespeare. So all of his plays are shown in each of those tiles.
Okay.
We'll go into the parlor. Now this is the room that was used the least, but they spent the most amount of money in it. This is done in bird's eye maple. This is where the family could show off treasures from traveling and so on. They could show off their art. And this artwork that you see on the ceiling in the frieze, this has been carefully reproduced, but this was the work of an artist named J. Frank Waldo. And this was specially painted for Henry Rogers' daughter's wedding in 1889.
Okay.
So they really wanted to, bling out the house, if you will. And I'll point out this button over here. This is another Thomas Edison invention. But this went to the Annunciator, which you'll see in the kitchen. So if Cremora Rogers, Henry's wife, was in here having tea with her lady friends and they needed a refill, they merely had to push the button and that would summon
okay.
one of the servants. And this fireplace contains tiles that are hand painted. This was the work of a female artist named Frederica Crane. And this is based on Longfellow's Evangeline. Henry and Cremora Rogers hired this female artist to tutor their daughter Kitty in painting.
Okay.
So just a really beautiful piece that we're proud of. And also these windows, I'll point out, at either end of the room, these operate on pulleys, but they can be opened all the way up. That's because Hearthstone was built with a double wall, double brick walls. That provided insulation. So in the summer, you can keep the heat out. In the winter, you kept the heat in, as well as blocking out the noise. Because imagine back in the late 1800s, you had mills going 24 hours a day up and down the river. It was very loud. You had river boats. So that helped keep the noise out.
Okay.
Well, we'll step into our formal dining. And Henry and Cremora loved to entertain.
Okay.
You know, this was as fancy as it got. But again, we have a hand-painted ceiling. Our artist, J. Frank Waldo, did that work. This is called a salt cellar. It's kept
cute.
salt, yes, as well as I should put my gloves on. we usually.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem. But just because we have oils in our skin, we don't want to damage artifacts. Also, this little instrument right here was used. It's a knife rest. So once you cut into food, you weren't dirtying the table linens.
Yes.
The meals were served by a butler, of course, and the doors into the kitchen would have remained closed, so your guests weren't looking in on the mess. I'll also show you the radiator, because this house has a central steam heating system. So while each room had a fireplace that burned coal, coal was very dirty. So they'd light a quick fire just to take the chill off, but they relied on the steam heat. So we'll step through the butler's pantry,
Heater kan.
Iya.
which they could just display all of their beautiful china.
Dapur-dapurnya.
But this room was a very, very modern kitchen. Remember I mentioned the annunciator?
Yes.
So if they were working and they heard the bell,
Oh.
they knew where they had to respond. Again, another Thomas Edison invention. But they had this very modern ice box.
Icebox?
That's an ice box. So
Oh.
the cook would put a sign in the window. And this would tell the iceman how much ice she needed, how many pounds.
Oh, okay.
The iceman would come around with his ice wagon and his team of horses and deliver the ice. He'd bring it up with his big
Jadi ini
tongs.
kotak es guys.
But the ice was kept in there and the
Kotak
food was kept in
produksi
there.
Oh,
es batu.
So
Jadi
that way
ini
the
zaman
cook didn't
dulu
have to run up and down
kotak
to the
esnya seperti
basement, to
ini.
the root cellar.
Nah, kalian.
Another unique feature of this house, hot and cold running water. This was before the city of Appleton even had a water system for the city. The servants would heat the water up on this wood stove.
Oh.
And then there was a pump out back, and they would pump it up, and up on the third floor, they had two big water cisterns, and they would store the water in there. And then when they needed it, they would simply open up the taps, and the water would flow. And again, these wonderful electric lights, so the cook didn't have to strain her eyesight. And this wood stove was very, very modern for its time.
Oh.
Because with all of these adjustable burners, they could regulate the heat better. She had warming ovens to use so she could keep the food hot.
Okay.
So,
Ya.
and yeah, was our scullery. Although that's not part of the tour. We use that for more modern. And then notice this plug-in. We don't plug things in over the sinks. That would have been very dangerous. But it wasn't until 1904 that the wall outlets and plugs were invented, because there were no small appliances that needed to be plugged in. So they simply had the sockets right inside those light fixtures. And this would be the servants' hall. Remember I said it wasn't as fancy? They could close the doors so that when they had guests here,
Okay.
look at how plain the floors are. Look how plain this area
Yeah,
is
yeah.
compared to the
Okay.
rest.
Yeah.
Oke.
So we'll head up the servants' here.
Hai.
And I'm going to show you the bedroom for the cook.
Okay.
Tom and Rick, you know, can get in the area okay. This was the bedroom of the cook, Mary, who lived in this house. And this would have been considered very, very
Kamar tidurnya guys.
fancy for a servant.
Yeah.
They had indoor plumbing here, so they didn't have to go outside in the
Yes.
middle of the night.
Yes.
But she had electric lights to read by. She had this cozy steam heat, so she didn't have to worry about keeping a fire burning.
Yes.
But again, just compared to the way other servants lived, many of them lived in big houses like this, but they had basement bedrooms. So, to have the natural light,
Yes.
it was so bright. But now we're going to go into the family
Okay.
side of the house, and you'll see that it's much fancier. And again, notice how plain these floors are. And we'll look in on the master bedroom. This is where Henry and Remora lived. Now, this dresser
Ini
and
ruang-
this desk were
Ruang utamanya guys.
originally
Jadi
owned by the Rogers. The rest of the
kamarnya si
furniture
Henry
did
sebelumnya.
not come with the house, but it's been very carefully curated over 30 years. But what's really unique about this house, first of all, that fireplace it shows the work of Charles Dickens' Pickwick Papers, and he was Henry Rogers' favorite writer.
Oh, okay.
But we have a walk-in closet, which was very unusual for a house this old. And you
Oh.
notice the door on the far end? That allowed the servants access from the servants' quarters, so they could reach in, take the dirty clothes out, and put clean clothes in without interrupting their lives. Also, this ensuite bathroom, which was very
Oh.
unusual. Look at
This
that beautiful
bathroom?
toilet. Make
Okay.
sure you look at the sink, because
Okay.
the sink is hand painted.
Oh.
The fixtures are sterling
Oh,
silver,
yeah, so cute.
as well as this bathtub.
Ini Ben, apanya?
Iya, sama
Wastafel.
tuh.
If you look at this bathtub, it looks like something a cow or a horse would drink out of. That's because it was. The company that made these were livestock implements.
Okay.
And when people started adding indoor bathrooms, they needed a place to bathe in. So they put feet on the bottom of these livestock tubs,
Okay.
turned them into bathtubs. But this was actually made by Kohler and Company, which we now know as the company that makes bathroom and kitchen, sinks and bathroom implements. But they started out as a livestock implement company, so rather unusual. And then we're gonna go around. I'll take you to the guest rooms. Now this is the family sitting room. So if the family wanted to relax, this is where they would come, not the downstairs parlor.
Okay.
This was their private space. And they would play games, read, enjoy music,
Yeah.
practice the piano.
Yeah.
But this is one of the guest rooms. And the only time that guests saw the upstairs is if they were actually staying here for an extended period. Both Henry and his wife were originally from New York State.
Oh,
So
okay.
if their relatives came to visit, that was quite a journey.
Yeah.
By train or by horse and buggy. So they would be put up here. And again, they've got electric lights to enjoy. They've got, the nice central steam heating system. These rooms also had fireplaces, which aren't as fancy, but I think still beautiful.
Yeah.
The tile work, isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
And this is another guest room. And again, these bedrooms, windows could be raised all the way up. So on a hot summer night, you could open the windows and step out onto what we call an airing porch, just to cool off and get some fresh air.
Okay.
And again, we have more of these original Bergman fixtures.
Okay.
And this has been exposed just to show some of the original wiring in the
Oh,
house.
okay.
You know, things have been updated, of course. And this is a picture of Mr. Rogers right here.
Oh,
He's
this
the
is
man who
Mr.
built the
Rogers?
house.
Okay.
This is his wife, Cremora.
Kimura, okay.
That is their daughter,
Daughter.
Kitty.
Okay.
And then this was Albert Priest, the second owner, and
Oh,
his
okay.
wife.
Okay.
And this is, of course, the outside. And then in the 1930s, for a period of years, the house was used as a small restaurant or tea room, and that's when it got its name, the Hearthstone.
Oh, I got it.
And then this was the next family to live in it, the Pierce family.
Okay.
And then the last family to move into this house, it was in 1962. That is the mayor's family, and they had 6 children.
Okay.
And they lived in this house until the 1980s. When they tried to sell the house, they couldn't find a buyer.
Uh-huh.
So the city was actually considering tearing this house down to make
Oh.
another turn lane off the bridge. And it was a group of citizens who went to a city council meeting and said, you can't tear the house down, we'll buy it. They came up with the money.
Okay.
They purchased the house. And that was the beginning of the formation of the Hearthstone Museum. So we operate as a nonprofit. So let me just say thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Because it's your support that helps
Thank you.
keep the doors open and the lights on.
Thank
So
you.
We appreciate you
Thank
very
you,
much.
thank you.
And this last bedroom is Kitty's room.
Oh, okay.
Kitty was the apple of their eye. She was 18 years old when this house was built. So she had just finished up. She went to prep school here at Lawrence. It was then a prep school. Then she went to Wells College out in New York. So when she got done with college, she came back and moved into this house with her parents. This shows you Hearthstone back then. And one of the things I'll point out, if you look closely right here, you can see nets. And that's because Kitty loved to play lawn tennis.
Oh,
so
okay.
Henry put lawn tennis nets up as well as electric lights so she could play at night. And this is her graduating class, or some of her classmates at Wells. But you can see, you know, she was very comfortable. Her fireplace is a different style, of course, from the
Yes.
rest of the house. And that's because the Rogers relied on books and catalogs to furnish the house.
Oh.
We didn't have the stores back then where you could just go down to the furniture store or Home Depot, places like that. So they relied on catalogs. Kitty had spotted this style of fireplace. It's a colonial revival, and she just had to have it. So her parents allowed her to choose her own fireplace design.
Okay.
And again, it's a coal fireplace.
This one is cute. Fish pot.
We
Whoa.
call those coal hods.
Okay.
That's what they stored the coal inside of.
Okay.
So they usually made them really decorative, so they
Okay.
didn't look unsightly next to the fireplace.
Yes.
And again, Kitty also had a walk-in closet because she would have had many dresses.
Oh, okay.
And I'll point out one other feature as we are heading out. You'll notice there's a skylight above this stairway. This is original to the house. And years ago, they could open it up and they could let all the
okay.
hot air escape in the summer months.
Okay.
But it
Okay.
also allowed for light to flow in. Our third story is not part of the tour. We have our curator's office up there in a library. We use it for, you know, modern purposes, of course. But back when the house was built and the family lived here, it was used for storage, simply storage, because they had a lot of things. So their out of season clothing and furniture could all be taken up to the third floor
Okay.
and stored up there.
Okay. Okay.
So I hope this has just given you a good overview and chance to see it.
Yeah.
But
Thank
and
you so much.
You're welcome. I know you mentioned you have an appointment, but I wanted you to be able to see the whole house.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, thank you for coming in.
Ya,
Do you live in Appleton?
Yes.
Come back sometime when you can spend more
Sure.
time, or better yet, come to one of the special events we have.
oke,
Sure.
oke.
Coming up, you know, we have summer
Thank
on the
you so
veranda.
much, ma'am.
You're so welcome. I'm glad we could give you a little tour.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
And the booties can go right into this black
Okay.
container, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you don't have about 3 minutes to spare.
Tarik ya.
I can get it for you guys. It's a little tricky lock.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oke. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Oke guys, jadi seperti itu aja perjalanan kita di Museum Hearthstone, Museum Pembangkit Tenaga Listrik pada tahun 1882. Nah, ini penampakan rumah di depannya seperti ini guys. Ya. Seperti ini. Oke lah. Perjalanan kita sampai di sini dulu. Sampai jumpa di konten berikutnya guys. Sehat selalu buat kalian semua. Tuhan memberkati. See you. Bye bye.